people with heightened or expanded states of consciousness. Prayer, yeah, sleep, right, dreaming. So what's so interesting, and this is another way that, we all get brainwashed into a naturalist, materialist view of the world, is, Sigmund Freud is a very complicated figure, and I actually shouldn't even be talking about him right now, because I really don't know. Right, but we've received, right, this inheritance, his view of the human psyche, such that we actually believe that altered states of consciousness are when we're most deluded about reality. And Jesus and the apostles and prophets see it exactly the opposite way. They actually believe that it's precisely when we are in heightened, altered states of consciousness, and particularly when we are in vulnerable states of consciousness, that we are most in touch with reality as it really is. And once again, this isn't just rhetoric, like this is how things are. And I'm not a psychologist, but think about how this works and how important this pattern is. So we come into the world, which is just this really remarkable and crazy, crazy place that any of us are here on the flying space rock, like here right now. And so we come into this world in a very completely vulnerable, oblivious state of consciousness. And it takes humans like years to wake up to reality. But here's the thing, is we don't really wake up to reality. Because from our earliest conscious memories, what's happened is we're being hurt, we're being disappointed, we're taking on all of these emotional wounds through trauma and painful conflicts in our relationships. And you guys know this, or at least you ought to know this, is that we develop from a very early age all of these coping mechanisms and ways of interpreting and dealing with reality so that we can survive. And what happens is as we become young adults, we actually begin to filter reality through this deeply distorted lens. And it's actually usually in situations of trauma, right? When this surfaces and you find your body or yourself reacting to a situation and it's like totally irrational. You're like, why did I do that? Why did I respond that way? And it's because our vision of reality gets wired into our brains from our early conscious memories. But there's something that happens when we are in vulnerable states of consciousness, especially sleep, because we're not unconscious when we're sleeping. Are you guys with me? We're just not in an active state of consciousness. And all of a sudden, we're in that most vulnerable state. And I think what Jesus and the apostles and prophets would invite us to see is actually in those moments when we are most surrendered, when we are in states of serene, calm, surrender, vulnerability, that we are most in touch with reality as it really is. And what the biblical authors are inviting us to see is that those are precisely the moments that we have the potential to encounter the person who is paradise and the person who is the eternal now. And our sister who was crying out how beautiful Jesus is just a few minutes here ago as we were worshiping, like that's reality. Do you know what I'm saying? That's reality.